Very good afternoon and welcome to Racing International. We head down to a beautiful part of the world in South Africa where all the wineries are and all the popular things. We're heading down to Cape Town. 8 races on the card. Now, I've been informed we're running on the new summer track in winter. So there you go. They tell me up the straight, you can win right across the course there. Now, the penetrometer's 21 at the moment, but I've just heard a little whisper, 80% chance of rain today, so keep that in mind. Nice false rail when you come off the bend, 5 metre spur there, certainly throw the horses out a little bit, but they're telling me, and they're talking in my ear as I'm talking to you, they're saying up the straight, don't worry where you're drawn. All right, looks like a nice track. Once you go around the turn, well, it always helps to have those inside draws so you don't get caught out too wide. But I wouldn't be worrying about that with a nice spur on the false rail when you swing for home. First race on the card. It's the maiden juvenile plate for the fillies, the 2-year-olds, and it's up the straight of 1,000 meeting. Well, now, I'm not worried about the draw now. They're very confident down there with the word coming through. And I've popped in number 2 here. Now, this is a daughter of Trippy, and they normally come to hand pretty early from the powerful stable of Justin Snaith. Quite firm in the betting at the moment at 11-2, so keep an eye on that one. And this one's drawn on the outside in barrier 10. Navarone, now this certainly put up a good gallop last time when Not Fancy drifted all the way out the market from 25s to 71 and ran a cracker there, stayed on nicely, only beaten 2.5 over the 1,000 metres, and that was first run back from a bit of a spell, so expect more improvement today. Thrown in the 3 as well, Honours Degree, Richard Free. Now, the stable said, the Adam Marcus stable said, they can place here today, priced up at 4-1, drawn in barrier 9, having its first start today. It's certainly another well-bred individual. Looking for one more, and I think the best bet in this race is keep an eye on the betting where the money comes from, especially now with 80% chance of rain. Now, throw in number 15 here. Brett Crawford stable, Cornet Orfer. They're having a pretty good time of it at the moment. Priced up at 9-2 and drawn on the outside in barrier 11. Race 2 on the card is over the 1,200 metres. We're up the straight here again, and we're going to number 12, Tweak the Wind. Deploy jumps aboard here, drawn on the outside in barrier 13. Well, after watching the first race, you'd have a pretty good idea, maybe if it's favouring and has that 80% chance of rain come along yet. Well, this one's only had the one gallop under the belt, certainly put up a decent effort on debut, and firm in the market at 3-1, only going down 2.5 lengths. Look for big improvement there. Number 7, Viking Voyage, Aldo De Meyer at 9-2 from the Nell stable. Here's another stable that's certainly improving week after week. Now, this had its second run career start after having a bit of a break, and it was backed in from 7s into 7-2, ran a cracker there, running on strongly, only beaten just under 2 lengths, and firm in the market at 9-2. Impressed, that's number 1 from the Bernard Fade Herd, jumps aboard for the Brett Crawford stable. Now, this one's drawn down on the inside in barrier 2. Nice effort last time when having its second run after the gelding, was only beaten 1 3/4 lengths. There's already been a winner out of that form line from only 3 runners. Number 11, Our Mate Art, the Australian bred from the Mike Bass stable. You always got to throw them in. Gee, they're doing well over here. And the stable said can definitely run into the money, drawn in barrier 4, and at the moment priced up at 4-1. Race 3 on the card is the maiden plate, and we're travelling over the 1,600 metres. All right, Madonna's Answer, that's where we're going. I'm going with a bit of each way value here. This is priced up at 10-1, drawn in barrier 5. Third run back from rest. They tried it with the blinkers last time out for the first time and actually ran a pretty decent race. Stayed on pretty well, and that was second run after the rest. So look for more improvement here. Just having a look if it's run in the wet. Well, it's had 2 runs in the wet and hasn't placed yet. Let's hope the rain holds off till then. All right, are there dangers? Well, I think there's plenty in a race. It looks an open-looking contest. Number 13, Hero Quest. Now, it is coming off a break of 83 days. Only had the one gallop under the belt and certainly caught the eye when running on strongly to only go down 3/4 a length over the 1,400 metres on debut. That was certainly an eye-catching run, and I can understand why it's very firm in the market at 5-2. Number 1, this is from the Adam Marcus stable with Richard Freedy. Good to see him back from overseas and starting to ride well again. again. He rode it 2 starts ago over the 1200 metres, was well beaten there 4 1/4. Then they popped it over the 16 last time out and actually stayed on quite nicely, only beaten 3 3/4. Now in this sort of field, certainly has to be respected. Number 2, King of Corn. This is from the Robinson stable with one of my favourite jockeys and one of the best top weight jockeys in the country, Bernard Fade Herb. Now he is drawn out a wee bit wide there in barrier 11, but showed enough early gate speed last time out when coming from a widey straw to get around them and actually stayed on well there to be only beaten 1 1/4. Here we go, race 4 on the card. It's a maiden plate for the fillies and the mares. 1400 metres, that's our trip. And number 1 here from the Brett Crawford stable. Now, I made this one probably pretty hard to beat because it's got everything that's in its favour. Drawn nicely on the paint in barrier 1. Looks hard to beat. Now, if you look at the last run where it only went down just under 1/4 of a length, it had to switch. It ran around in the race and then flew home down the outside. And as I said, just went down 1/4 of a length. A bit of luck and running should have won that race. I think it can turn it around today. But watch out here for number 9, Sandy Bay, the Australian bred. Donovan Dillon, he jumps aboard. Now, this is your current favourite, second favourite at the market at 16 to 10. Now, it's also drawn well in barrier 2. Nothing wrong with that. Had 3 runs under the belt and certainly improving with every run. They took it straight to the front last time. Tried to make every post a winner and only got caught late, going down 1 1/4. Contessa Confessor, number 8 from the Snaith Racing stable. Grant Van Niekerk, he jumps aboard. He hasn't ridden this one before. It's only had the 2 outings, but showed nice improvement when they put it over a bit of ground last time. It is second run back from a rest, but it has had 24 days in between runs. Number 3, Celtic Charm, Richard Free, 7 1. Now, this is having its 3rd run back from rest. Now, have a look at this. Had a run in the yielding going. So the rain's coming down. This ran a cracker last time. We're not fancied at 22 to 1. Actually ran on strongly to be only beaten 3/4 of a length. A bit of value there at 7 1 and also drawn nicely in barrier 3. Race 5 on the card is a merit-rated 98 handicap. Over the 1400 metres, and number 11's the one I'm liking here in a pretty open affair, so I've gone with a bit of each-way value here. Number 11, Star Chestnut, made it a nice each-way bet here, drawn nicely in barrier 1. 3-year-old taking on the older horses here, but it's only going to have to carry 53 kilos. Now, it was beaten by Brilliant Crimson last time out by 1 3/4 in the East Cape Guineas down there at Fairview. Certainly wasn't disgraced there. Now, it's going to shape up 2 kilos better off for that run. And number 10, Brilliant Crimson, who I actually haven't put in, is drawn extremely wide today, who actually won the Guineas in barrier 12. All right, dangers I've popped in there, or maybe swingers, Quinellas, or wherever you live in the world. Number 4, Spirit of Hamilton, 3rd run back from rest with Bernard Fade Herb, drawn out a little bit wide in barrier 8 as well, but it is having its 3rd run back from rest and certainly should give it a good account of itself, priced up at 9 to 1. Number 6, Midnight Zone. There's a few people here, I tell you what, at Teletrack are liking this. It won well 2 starts ago. Then they put it away for a little bit of a spell and they brought it back on the 23rd of April, put up a nice gallop there over the 1200 metres when staying on nicely. Should appreciate the extra 200. Drawn nicely in 2, but is having its 2nd run after a break. Zabba Dabba Doo. There we go. I'll be practicing that. Number 7, that comes from the Brett Crawford stable, Cornet Orpha. Also drawn out a touch wide in barrier 9, but does run well back fresh. Comes off a break today of 101 days. Here we go, race 6 on the card. It's over the 1400 metres. Where are we looking? It's a merit-rated 81 handicap. Not a bad race, nice and competitive here. Gone with another bit of each-way value. A horse that's been dropping down in the handicappers' ratings over the last couple of weeks. It's dropped from a 90 down to an 84. It's had 3 runs back from a gelding. Also ran in the East Cape Guineas last time out. Wasn't disgraced, showed pace, up the handy, and just got tired the last 100 metres. So I think it's going to be better suited today, coming back to the 1400. Nice price, 11 to 2 each way. Number 5, Golden Peg. Now, this is coming off a lengthy layoff of 153 days, but the word from the stable is he runs well fresh, so watch out for him from a decent draw in barrier 1 and has plenty of early gate speed. Number 7, Give Us a Grand. Mike Bass and Grant Van Niekerk priced up at 4-1. Also drawn okay in barrier 6. Now here's the word from the stables. Had his problems, no doubt about it. He's only had 5 starts, but he certainly has a chance of winning this. So there you go. Depends if he puts his best foot forward and they've got him over his problems. They certainly recommend he's got a winning chance. Certainly number 8, Panga Panga. Dylan jumps aboard at 11-2 for the Mike Bass stable. Another one drawn well towards the outside in barrier 7. But when you go through his form in these similar sort of company, never finishes too far behind. Race 7 on your card is a merit rated 70 handicap. 1200 metres straight, that's where we're going. And number 7, Mr. J. Can he make it 2 in a row? Well, I tell you what, the Vaughan Marshall stable, they've come through to us and they're pretty confident about a decent run here. He's drawn down the inside in barrier 2. They brought him back from a spell on the 5th of April and he ran a beauty, running on strongly to only go down that 3/4 a length. And as the stable thinks he can win again. Well, I tell you what, he's going to get a good run from his money from number 1. Winter Trade from the Daryl Hodgson stable. Young May the Apprentice takes the 2.5 off the back. Got to carry a little bit of weight here of 59.5, but his form's very decent indeed, and the stable expecting a good run here. Same can be said about number 6, Valerio. They saying, this is what the Marcus stable are saying, if he puts his best foot forward from the draw out in barrier 10, now he's going to be 3.5 kilos better off to Mr. J for just under a 6-length beating. So it looks hard to turn it around, but they're saying when he gets his mind right, he certainly should be competitive at this level. Number 3, Solon Knight, also coming off a break of 122 days. Went to his last run where he come back from a break on the 24th of October, put up a fair gallop there over the 16. Now they've brought him back to the 12. And if you go back to his 1200 metre form, actually pretty decent with the win and a couple of placings over that trip. Here we go, the lucky last on the card. It's for the Fillies and Mares 76 handicap. 1200 metres is where we're stretching their legs here. Number 7, Make It Rain, the Australian bred from the Brett Crawford stable. Corne Orfer, the regular pilot. Well, he didn't ride it last time, first time out, but gee, it impressed. Actually winning very comfortably by 3.25 on debut. Now, in the running, it had to, got balked, it had to switch and then get going again. So certainly a very good effort, very impressive, and could make it 2 in a row. Number 5, Captain's Dove, will certainly give it a bit of a run for its money. It's drawn right on the outside in barrier 16. Showed plenty of speed last time up the straight of 1200 metres and only got caught late to go down half a length. Worth throwing in at 9-1. Throw in the 4 as well from the Eric Sands stable. Certainly won very well after coming back from a bit of a spell on the 9th of April. That was over the course and distance. Ran a cracker there and went on to win very comfortably indeed. There's only one runner so far out of that form line, so we haven't got too much of a gauge. Number 1, Jets Ablaze. Now it's a 3-year-old giving away a lot of weight to older horses here, so you got to look at it. Carries 62 kilos, but it's run behind some pretty smart horses. You got the top jockey Bernard Fader who'd aboard, and it is 3rd run back from rest, so I'm going to stick this into the money. Well, there you go. Looks a very, very competitive card, and I'll tell you why, because they're saying 80% chance of rain. At the moment, it's okay, but keep an eye on that and have a look at the bias if the track favours either side running up the 1,000 or the 1,200 metres straight. Right, we're going to be putting up all our selections at our Twitter account at Racing in Tips. So have a look there, try and mix them up a bit. Let's hope we can catch a quinella or a double or a trifecta. They might pay today, especially if the rain comes down. From myself, Rod McCurdy, and all the team, we wish you a very successful punting afternoon.